Together again.
Yes, at last. Give me 5.
Good
yeah.
to see you. I haven't seen you since the Game Awards.
Yeah,
Our
exactly. We had a great time at the Game Awards, man.
We did. We had a
Yeah.
great time. Everyone was
really
talking
good,
about
yeah.
it. Yes. But it all worked out for you. It was. I
Yeah.
mean, that was a crazy night.
Yeah, it was crazy, but in a good way, you know.
It was in a good way.
in a good way,
I mean, we
Who
managed
knows what
to-
happens tonight? We might give fucks to anybody else.
Who knows, right? Everyone's watching.
I handle that. Don't worry.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
You can do the controversy, but
Yeah.
no,
I'm a big fan of what you do because it's very important. Everybody has a part, and like I said off stage, you just clap yourself on the shoulder. 'Cause you're doing some good shit, man. Like
Thank you.
really.
Thank
No,
you.
but it's true. Like
Thank you.
you're like want to take it to the next level and talk about games, making games more serious, and you're very good in front of the camera. It's very good what you're doing. So like when the fuck the Oscar thing happened, like I mean.
No, people always.
It
said
wasn't a
things like,
disrespect against
no,
you,
if
but
anything,
you-
it was. That's
Yeah,
the thing is
but-
people were like, were you upset, Jeff? And I was
No,
like, no, you were
yeah.
actually. You weren't complaining about our show. You're complaining about the other shows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what the thing, like the people that didn't, when they look at the fuck the Oscar thing, is that when I was there, do you remember that the audience got very excited when I said fuck the Oscar?
Yeah.
And that excitement got me excited.
Yes.
I'm like, but nobody saw that on TV because they only have my sound up.
Yes.
Because so I look like this crazy guy. But I'm a bit crazy, but it is what it is, you know.
Hey, you're a crazy guy, but we love you. And
Yeah,
the game
man.
you talked about there, A Way Out,
Yeah.
came out earlier this year and was a huge success, right?
Yeah, man. It's like I knew it from the day one. Look, it's not about being cocky. It's that when you hear this all the time, you believe it, you see it, blah blah. But it's true. When you feel it in here, it's done. It's already done. Even the people who didn't like the game now will in 5 years go like, oh shit, that was a great game. So it will come to them later. So it will happen soon.
So you had full confidence from the get-go.
Full confidence. You can call me
success.
delusional. There are so many words I hear like delusional, blah blah, whatever. But I don't care. I know what I'm doing. So it's fine.
Well, you've had an amazing career, really 2 games.
Yeah.
And I, first fell in love with your work with Brothers.
Yeah.
Which was, an incredible project that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then you went and did this game with EA, A Way Out, which, is part of their originals program. I don't know how much you guys know about this, but EA basically gave you the money to make the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once it made back its money,
Yeah.
then you guys were going to get all sort of the profit on top of it.
Yeah.
And, everyone loves to kind of hate on EA a lot.
Yeah.
But you decided to work with them. So why'd you do that?
The thing is, like, to be honest, I don't even care about publishers. What I care about is games. But the people that work with me EA has been super good, supportive only. They don't interfere with the game vision at all. Nothing. They can't even change a color of a apple. If
so you got to make the game you want.
Everything. And it's always going to be like this.
Yeah.
And for me, this is the case. If someone comes to me and says, we need to change this, I'm telling you, I'd rather be on the streets than not doing the thing I believe in. That's going to always, doesn't matter who I work with. It's going to be the same all the time. So I don't care. With that said, I do respect that there is a financial aspect to making games. It's not like I'm saying, give me the money, I don't give a fuck. It's not that. Right. I'm just saying, like, I respect this, but you have to respect that this vision is going to stay for the rest. And it doesn't mean I don't listen, like, what could be better in the game. I take in, the feedback and everything, but it has to follow the vision. It will always be like this. And I really, I respect, if you ask people who know me, who work with me, I'm a good guy. Like, I really care about people. Like, I have a good heart. And I never screamed to them like this. Maybe the Game Awards will say something different. But anyway, it's like, but it's like the important that you stick with the vision and believe. And the EA understand this. Mm-hmm. And when they say something that is like, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. Yeah. And they respect it. And it's been super good collaboration. So I don't know what the EA hate is all about. I mean, every publisher fucks up anyway. So it's not a difference if it's EA, Nintendo, or Sony. Everybody has done their share of shit. But what we all want is great games. That's what we want, right? I mean, what else? That's what you want, what I want, So we're all working with the same goal. I don't also like the fanboy stuff with the like Xbox or micro. Like for me, it's a it's a box with some components in it. Like it could be whatever the shit. The game is the shit. It's like that's what we should focus on.
All right. Well, let's focus a bit on the game A Way Out. How did you take the response from the press, the fans? You think they got your vision for A Way Out?
Yes, I definitely look. I've done only 2 games. This is just the beginning. I mean, I want to make a lot of more games, and the direction has been quite insane. I mean, it's obviously like people have been very pissed off, and I like it, you know. Some people say that A Way Out has the worst ending ever in a video game, and I got excited for it. It's a good thing, you know. Also, some people have said it's the best ending ever, but I like it. It's starting to get reaction because the whole essence of design, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played it, is that, you know, there is an idea with the whole design from beginning to end. And without spoiling it, that you really can feel that it has really touched people's heart in a really
well, and that was, you know, when you came up with the concept for that game, as you said, I think you had that idea from the get-go about where you wanted the game to end up versus where you started, but it was in some ways controversial in that you were doing a co-op only game, right? So you can't play it by yourself.
Yeah. But that's the thing, you know. In a sense, it's not controversial because many people said to me like, this will not work and so on and so on. But, you know, look, sometimes I think like this. How many great ideas that has been shut down because other people say stuff to you? Yeah. Like imagine how many people that have died because of that. You have to stick with what you believe in. I know it sounds cliche, but you have to stick with what you believe in and go with it. Because at the end of the day, that's what it all means. If you truly believe what you're doing is great, then it will be great. And that I didn't care. Like for me, I know they told me that you're not going to sell so good, it's not going to work, it's too small or whatever. I was like, doesn't matter.
Was that EA telling you that, or who was telling you
that? EA asked those questions, but I was very clear from day one. I'm going to be in creative control. It is what it is. This is how it's going to be. And they know it. And they will know it for every time we work and every publisher I work with. Otherwise, I don't do it.
Did they come back to you now and say, oh, you were right, Josef?
Yeah, no, it's not. I'm not that kind of guy that lives on saying,
"I told you so."
I told you so because I already knew it. So I don't need to say I told you so. So it's like it doesn't like. I'm more happy to inspire than to revenge people. You know what I mean? It's more like I think they're more like, oh shit, this is good. I'm like, yeah.
So they've been sufficiently inspired now.
So now they are inspired, you know. But I want everybody to take more risk. That's I love taking these. Like every time there's a creative risk, I want to take. I want to jump in. Yeah. Like I love that. I love that because we're in a time in gaming where it's kind of easy to be creative. Yeah. Because if you compare it to the movie industry, it's quite hard to make a unique movie now. But in a game, it's quite easy to be unique. I sometimes get surprised, like, why don't we see more unique, different games, actually? So we will see more of that.
And it feels like your games, you know, Brothers and A Way Out, both play with the idea of emotion and gameplay in sort of a unique way. And is that really the genesis of the ideas for your games? Like, is it a moment that you think of in your head of, like, I want to feel this way when I play a game, and no one's ever felt this sense of loss or this sense of betrayal and elements like that. Is that really the core of where you start thinking the game idea?
I think the core is you want to feel it here. Like, to be honest with you, I had another idea before I started the new game that I'm working on right now. Yeah. It's almost like being in a plane. It's on, but it's not lifting. Right. But once it's lifted, you kind of feel like, boom, it's there. And now I'm extremely excited for the game. It's going to be something like nobody's gonna see this coming. It's so different and crazy and nuts. It's crazy, but you want to feel that. But what I think the essence of what I want is that how do you create an emotion for the player in an interactive way? How do you tell a story? How do you find new ways of telling a story? How do you combine that with an interesting game mechanic? Because I understand the concept that gameplay should be fun, but it doesn't necessarily have to be fun all the time. Right. You know what I mean? So you hear that all the time that is this fun? Is this fun? I don't think that's the right question. It should be like, does this gameplay fit this scene? Yes, if you're talking about God of War, does this like combat mechanic fit this scene? Yes, it does. You know, that's what I keep telling to my design. We talk about this all the time, and every time someone comes to me and says, this is the way it's done, I'm like, thank you, goodbye, I don't want to talk to you anymore. It's almost like that, because we have an idea how things work, but we don't know it. That's what I love about it. It's kind of an ocean of knowing nothing. You know, that's what I love about it.
So are there other games out there that do inspire you, that are taking those risks?
Yeah. I have a big respect for... to be honest with you, every year I see less games that inspires me. Right. In a sense. I wish there were more risks. And with risk, I don't mean that you have to go all crazy. I would say God of War is a risk in a way, because they take a very well-known IP and they try to do something totally different with it, you know? And they did it, and that's enough risk. But I would love to see more risk like that, and even bigger if it's possible, creative risk, because that's what we all want. Right. Gamers, journalists, everybody, you know? We want better games. That's what I I'm passionate for, to playing. I love games. For me, coming into a house that doesn't have a console or a PC, I feel like they don't have a toilet. You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird. It's like, how can you, like when someone tells me like, I don't play games, I'm like, are you stupid?
Right.
It's like you are missing out on so much stuff. You know, it's like crazy how you miss out. And you know, it's like, it's crazy.
Well, and now you're building these games, which, as you said, kind of create this emotion as a player.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you won't talk much about what you're doing with your next one, but is it still, do you think going forward, this idea of multiplayer, co-op, is that something that you think is going to become?
That's what's good about it. You're always very good of asking these questions to, but I learned how you work now.
Exactly.
But it's good. I appreciate it. I have big respect for you, man. No problem. But I can't answer you.
Okay.
And there's a reason why to be secret about the idea.
Yeah.
You know, one of it is not just to be...
Someone's going to steal it.
Yeah, no. It's not that, because nobody can steal this idea. Trust me.
Is
Even
that
if
good?
I said this now, they would go like, what the fuck? Yeah, but the thing is like this. When you're telling an idea and it's not really, you know, fleshed out, I think, what do you say? Like, you know, under you kind of like, I don't know the word, what it's called. Subconscious, yes, subconsciously. It's my girlfriend telling me. You know my English, you know. Subconsciously, you are looking for reactions, how you react.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that could eventually affect the idea itself. So that's why it's important to keep it like, to let it grow and let it decide.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the game is telling me, this is what I want to be. And I'm there to like show it. Okay, let's go.
So how do you come up with that? Like this, don't tell us it's no idea, but is this idea, are you sitting on a beach one day and you're like, oh, this would be a cool idea of like this moment, or how do you come up with these ideas?
It's different. This time, it's an idea I had a long time, not long time, a couple of years ago, and I thought it was very interesting to try to make a gameplay out of it. But, and slowly it's grown to this like a fully fledged game idea that we are actually working on right now.
Right.
And that's the lovely. It's super hard to make video games. Everybody knows this in here. But when you see things coming together, you're like, oh shit, this is so cool. You know, you see it like coming together. You see it working.
But sometimes it doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Sometimes we have some really hard challenges in this game, which is quite sure haven't been done yet before. So I want to, and we still have a quite small budget, you know, like in A Way Out, but still super challenging, and I love it, and I know we'll succeed.
Are there, but like a game like A Way Out, are there times where you doubt your idea and you sort of...
Never. No, I don't doubt that. The only thing, you have to understand with A Way Out, like, when A Way Out came out and started to come to the public, people thought that, oh, it's EA, it's a AAA, blah, blah, blah. We actually got some negative like feedback because people thought it was a AAA title.
Right.
You have to understand, A Way Out, 70% of the team were interns. So there was like new people coming in. Now they are kick-ass developers. So it's going to be different, you know. So now we're a team.
Now you have more developers.
Yeah, the amount is kind of, so we started with 10 people with A Way Out. And like the first 2 years we were 20 people, no outsourcing, no nothing.
Right.
And then we grew to 40 in total. And that's very little for a game like that. So now you have the possibility of making more stuff, and people are more experienced, they understand more, they understand what the games are about. So it's a little bit easier, you know. But it was very hard for us as small. Like we were this close of not having online play on A Way Out because we couldn't. We did it wrong from the beginning. So
really?
It was so hard. Like I was this close. That's when I doubted, like, oh shit, we can't do online, you know.
Wow.
It's so hard.
So would it just been you had to be on the same couch co-op?
Yeah, it would have been just a couch co-op gameplay. But the thing is, like, we managed to figure it out somehow and released it. I don't know, but it happened, you know. It's a really good team.
Some of these ideas you come up with, you said, you know, you come up with something a few years ago, and then do you have, like, 10 ideas of games you want to do, and then you just sort of pick the one that gets you excited? Like, take us through your process.
Yes, so the process is that you have an idea, and you start to feel it in your heart, and you feel like, have I played this thing before, or how can I play this in a way that I haven't played before? How can I tell this story in a way that haven't been told before? So that's the idea. But I would argue still it's quite easy to do something unique in the industry today. It is, because, again, the comparison to the movie, it's very hard to do a movie that is different because kind of like most of the things have been done. But in games, the possibility is there, so I'm surprised sometimes.
It's a feeling you want to create, but sometimes translating that into gameplay, I'm sure, is a bit of a challenge.
Yes,
right?
You hear it all the time, the idea, but actually making the idea, that's the That's the
that
hard
arc,
part.
right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Brothers,
yeah.
like
how
that
to do-
moment, that build up, that whole game was building up
Yes,
to
yes,
that
yes.
moment.
But
right?
you get better and better. I had some really crazy idea when I did Brothers. That
Yeah.
was crazy. That wouldn't even be possible to make if it was. I mean, because I was very early. I didn't understand so much on how to make games.
What did you want to do in Brothers that you couldn't do?
It was a snake boss in the grass that my team joke about a lot. Like I had a snake, and people, animators in general are very afraid of snakes and ropes. All those things that are kind of like they're super afraid. Like, oh my God, this is possible, but they feel. I don't know if there are any animators in here, but they get very like, scared when they hear it. So I sometimes joke with my animate. I'm like, "What? Have a snake bite you when you were young, or what's the problem?" You know?
No snake.
Yeah, but stuff like that. But I don't know. I want to push the limit of what is possible because I love games so much. That's what keeps me going. You know.
So when you hear the feedback from gamers, for Brothers: A Way Out, what do you hope that people take away from those games? It's a new feeling, a new emotion.
Yeah, I hope they experience something they haven't experienced before.
Yeah.
And I have experienced that they feel something they haven't felt before in games.
Yeah.
And that I feel, even if not everybody feels it, but you feel that you're succeeding in touching the people with these feelings. And that kind of motivates me. But what motivates me most is the love for making games.
Yeah.
That's keep pushing me. And even if the whole world told me, I said in the game, that this game is not good, I know what I'm doing. Like I know this is good. That can't be reversible. It's impossible. It's like a rock solid belief,
But EA especially, I think, has been called out for not supporting single player games, saying everything's becoming a service. Amy Hennig was here this morning talking with me about obviously she had a Star Wars project that they stopped working on.
Yeah.
Are you worried that these kind of emotional single-player games are going to go away?
No, not worried at all. That's what makes me happy when a game like God of War comes out, does so well, get these great reviews, and sells so well. This is only a good. Look, here's the thing. I don't think that there are different types. You have the multiplayer and the single. Single player will never disappear. I mean, we really need to. I love those experiences when you're alone in your room and playing and going into this world and disappearing. So I don't know where that came from, actually. I really don't know. I don't believe that at all. I think it's just bullshit.
But sometimes, these more expensive games that are costing $100 million to make, it's like, it's $60, and, you play it once, and it's done, and it goes back on the shelf. Yeah. And that's sometimes a challenge where these other games are able to monetize over years and years. You look at Fortnite or something.
But here's the thing: we can talk about it because this is what I want to talk about, especially replayability and the length time. I think that bothers me a lot, and this is something that someone needs to say. I know this upsets a lot of people when I say this, but I'm so tired of people talking about replayability and how long the game is. It's so sad to hear because if you look at a game like A Way Out. So A Way Out had on PS4, I think, a playthrough of 52%. Okay. Which is like, when I say that to developers, they say, oh, wow, that's great. Yeah. Now, that's insane that's perceived as great, Yeah. For me, it's like, okay, we have a problem. I mean, in general, like percentage-wise, how many people play through a game. It's very small. So we have a problem to actually letting people play through a game, and we're still talking about replayability and how long the game is. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Amy said the same thing, where there's nothing worse than a storyteller or a writer that people aren't going to finish your story.
I mean, it's like James Cameron comes out and says, "Oh my God, only half the people came out from Avatar. That's great. I'm so happy." Isn't that stupid? But what I'm saying is that, look, I don't have a problem with longer games. I know it upset a lot of gamers. But if you look at statistics, people rarely play through a game. Yeah. And if the game is, if the game is 10 hours and it holds up for 10 hours, it's fine. Right. If a game is 100 hours and it works for 100 hours, fine. I'm not talking about the multiplayer game. That's a different thing. Yeah. But the single player, the open one. But why are everybody in this industry, our reviewers are actually taking replayability as part of the scoring? That's insane. Okay, how many people even replay games today? We have a problem that people not even finishing a game. How can we talk about this? And today it feels like you have, gamers want a table of food with all the food you can imagine, but you only want to eat this. But if you don't have all the food, they're going to be upset, I want all the food. That's not fair. Yeah. And here's the thing also, you know how much money it costs and how much sweat developers have Like for this, like they do so much content,
Yeah.
and you know that nobody's gonna even look at this.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't we focus on the experience instead of like how long is it? Who the fuck cares how long it is? Like really, like a great experience.
yeah.
Like if you want to have a good sex, do you time it? Like I kind of like you don't time. You can have good sex for 1 hour, 2 hours. Sometimes good sex can be 5 minutes. You don't like, hey, 5 minutes not good, not worth the time. No. Come on, it's a good comparison in many sense. Yeah,
there you go. All right.
like I'm telling you, you know what I mean. So what I mean by that, I think it's important. I know a lot of people will be upset when I say, but I don't care. But if you look at it, when is the last time you replayed the game?
Replayed a single-player game?
Yeah.
All the way through again?
Yeah.
Hasn't happened in a while.
Yes, and okay, you're very busy, but I know many people who are not.
No, I don't think. I think there's replayability is one thing, but I think you said like the length. There's a fascination with sort of the length of games, and in many ways it comes down to, hey, I'm paying $60, so how much value is there,
yeah, but
right?
This
and
is
I think
the
you're
thing.
right.
Yeah.
The value, it could be a great 5-hour game.
Yeah.
Densely packed that people get through and have a great experience with. But you're right. Some people would say, oh, I paid $60. Well, the cost per hour, it costs $10 per hour. To
but
play
this is
that.
weird that we measure things with hours, and that's the thing. It's a weird thing when in schools, when teachers tell their designers like focus mostly on the 40% of the first of your game because the rest nobody's gonna see. Yeah. That's insane. That's insanity. That's more insane than some few people saying like I want to replay blah blah. Let them whine. It's internet. Let them whine, let them complain, but we need to focus on the games. And again, I'm not saying make games shorter. That's not my I'm saying just let's stop judging games for, let's stop asking, like when EA asked me like replayability, that's the number one question every publisher asks you. What's the replayability? How long is it? I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, what's the statistic of, if you take a game like Call of Duty, that's more a multiplayer game, right? If you don't have single player on it, it's going to review lower. Right. But how many play through the single player campaign? 10% maybe? So what's the point of all the money?
And look, that's why with Black Ops 4 they've gotten rid of that because you're right. They look at
and it's probably going to get some. So again, like I don't like talking about time. Like take a game like Journey. Like it's when you have a great experience, you just have it. And
but part of it, I think, is the business model. So maybe now with subscription services and different ways to sort of charge for games, there might be a way to sort of explore that. I think the problem it used to be people would be like, hey, you're right, hey, I could buy this game for $60 and get 20 hours, or this other game for $60 and get 5 hours. And, for some people, like, I get them free, so it's like, hey, that's cool. But for other people, it's like, hey, the cost of the hour per entertainment is something to think about.
When you and me were young,
yes,
did we like earn different kind of monies? No, it was the same kind of money, right?
Yeah.
How was the games back then? Could be 6 hours or something. I mean, there was I think we need to change the attitude for it. So the problem with this is not that, okay, it's fine if you as a gamer have this idea that you feel that you want to like value your time with money. I could say the opposite. Yeah. It's more valuable to play a 3-hour great game and have 3 hours less to do something else. Right. You know what I mean? That's more value to me instead of doing the same mechanic.
But you look at God of War charging, $60 in America for, this epic, 20, 30-hour game, which is incredible fidelity. Yes. And then you have some other, 3-hour
But again,
game.
God of War the same. A great game, but you still, when you play it, you're like, you know what? You could have cut out 5 hours here. No, really. I mean, to be honest, like it doesn't. That's how I feel. Like it's a great game, but it's still like sometimes it's a
little long for you.
It is. It's like taking the mechanic. It's the same. And I would say like some games are like. It's rarely I play a game and I feel like, oh, I'm still like there all the time. You feel like, come on, it's mostly that you feel. But that game, again, it's not the problem.
You're mastering the combat. You're getting better at
it.
I mean,
yes, but we still have that problem that statistically, like not even half of the people are finishing the games, and I think that's more of a problem than we should talk about replayability and how long they are.
No, and that's ties into difficulty too, right? Because I think a lot of people sometimes get frustrated because the game gets too difficult and they give up.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the difficulty of games? Do you think games should be more playable, like easier to get through them? In some ways, the gate that developers have always used is ramping up the difficulty so and people get frustrated, and some games will auto scale their difficulty or different difficulty levels. Yeah. But other games, it's like no, you get frustrated and you're like, why do I have to keep going back to this boss fight? I'm going to give up, and then you don't finish the game.
Yeah, but I think difficulty-wise, it depends what kind of game you do. If you do more a story-based game, I think that if the difficulty is too hard, too challenging, and you get, I mean, the level of frustration, if that goes too high, then it's not good. But if you make a game like Dark Souls where the story don't really matter, then I think it's fine to put the level of frustration, because the frustration becomes part of the design in a sense, you know.
Right, but you're trying to have a narrative arc, sort of a 3-act or whatever structure to a game. You want 100% of players that start it to finish it.
That would be so cool. And also what I want is that to stop looking at games of how long they are, to stop hearing about in reviews how long they are, or like to hear like what's the replayability. And I think like, I mean, again, like I keep going back to it. Every person I talk to, every reviewer I talk to, every journalist I talk to, say the same thing, like, yeah, I didn't finish it. And you also, you know this, some reviewers don't even finish the game and they review it. Like, come on.
And that's, you know, the way out. It's you obviously want to finish the game because the
back
end of the game
is
that's a big twist.
The people who don't finish a way out don't understand what the essence of the design is.
Right.
So it's like if you don't finish it, you don't understand what the way out is about. Then it's not as good. You know what I mean?
So you look at the stats and you see, you know, less than half of the people half people finish the game.
Yeah,
do you feel like a failure as a designer?
Not as a failure, but more. The first I reacted to it was that when people was telling me this is good numbers.
Right.
Like I'm like, why should I be happy that half of the people stop playing the game?
Right.
There's a problem with that. And when I looked at it more and more, I can see that it's crazy.
So
when you look at the
what do you
numbers.
think the problem was? Like, how did you fail with the game, or what could you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that a way out could be in better in many ways, like better in like so many ways I can't even count them. But I still feel like my goal is to keep the player, and you have to remember that a way out is very diverse experienced. So it's like, so people probably why they went on for a while, but it's really hard for me. Like for the next year, I really want to continue more and more. How do I keep the players? Right. And that's most of the arguments you hear today when people are playing games. Like they don't have time. Yeah. And we have this list. I mean, you probably haven't played through A Way Out, have you?
I have played through it.
Oh, you have played through. Okay, but I mean,
you and I should have played it together.
Yeah, we should actually. Yeah, stream it together. It would be nice.
Yeah,
let's do that. Let's do it streaming together.
What? People watch that, but no. Part of what I loved about A Way Out, and I think when you first pitched it to me a couple of years ago, I always got the sense that there was going to be that moment, and we don't want to give away the game, but it's a moment where sort of things change. And that was the same with Brothers, right? It's like sort of that moment where you're building up to something.
Yeah, exactly.
Throughout the game, and I said that sort of the Newman at the end. That's really sort of such a key part of A Way Out, and I think Brothers. That it's like things change.
Yes, and that's the whole idea. Without talking about it, to create these things where. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but yes.
Right, and but I think there's build up. So you're right. If someone gets only halfway through the game, it's sort of all for naught.
Yes, right? Yes. So I do think that's a big problem that we should start talking about, and I think everybody needs to take responsibility here and start to really like ask these questions, like what's the problem here? Why is this accepted?
So you think replayability and game length are things that people shouldn't be so strict about? Yeah.
Yes. As long as we are seeing actually people want to replay a lot, we shouldn't talk about it. We should focus more like, why aren't people even finishing the games? That's more, I mean, it makes sense.
I think it's about value. So it's really more, it should be about value. Like, do you feel that was a worthwhile experience for you as a gamer?
Yes, but how do people value their time? I don't understand this.
Everyone different.
Yes, everyone different. But again, what in general, how do you? Okay, then we should talk about this, because this is something that's slowly come into the industry. Because again, everybody I talk to agrees that sometimes they're too long doing the same thing. But I don't know why nobody's.
Well, I think the thing is, people have a limited amount of income to spend on games. So I think it's also going into a game understanding how long it's going to be.
Yes,
like some people I bought this game, wait, it's only 3 hours.
Okay. Let's say that you're a person that value your time that way.
Yes.
You have many competitive games, many games that you can play for 1,000 hours if you want. All right? That's what I'm saying. So it is there. So whatever argument people have about this, like, I want this, I see this, and I have this, and whatever it is, the actual fact is that people are not finishing games and very low. The actual fact is that people are reacting like almost by being impressed that 50% finished your game.
Yes.
I would argue that's a way bigger problem than statistically how many replay it. So that's what I'm saying. Just have a like start talking about, because what the problem happens is that developers put in a lot of energy on this, a lot of money, we actually at some points, I think, we get less good games because of this, because they know that you make an open world, it has to be this amount of time, it has to be this, and it has to be this, because people will talk about the reviews and blah blah blah, they will affect the sales and so on and so on. I just think it's important to talk about this.
No, I think so. Would you guys like to see shorter games? All right.
Yeah, they agree with me here, but then they were like...
No, and Amy said the same thing this morning. I think it's like the idea of, getting through these experiences, especially for story-based games.
Yeah.
That's important, right?
Yeah, but also open world. If you look like how many play through those games, it's quite like...
Yeah.
I mean, how many open worlds I played? Horizon, GTA 5, other than that, like...
Well, and your percentage complete when you finish the game. I mean, it's obviously all the side missions and everything, but it's less than half the game. I'm sure. Even when you make through the main story.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the other thing is like, is there should games just have one main story path that's very quick and easy to get through, but then there's more you can do in the world around it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the replayability. Sometimes it's less about a linear story.
Yeah.
More about, are there side quests? Are there other missions and things that you can go back into the world and do again? Whereas a way out, once you finish it, you're done.
Yeah, but how many people replay games? That's what I'm saying. That's my that's what I said. You hear it all the time. It affects the production.
Replaying. I think even in open world games, it's less about replaying. It's about kind of trying to get that 100%, get to that completion.
Of course, there are like what do you say, like different scenarios of something. But in the end, you hear it so much and you get tired of it. I'm like, fuck,
So when you think of your next game, sounds like it's going to be a shorter game, right?
No.
Okay.
Because that game fits this time. Look, here's the thing. I'm not, again, this is very important. I'm not saying make games shorter. Right. That's not what I'm saying. Make them 1,000 hours if they fit the vision, that's what it's about. The next game fits that time or whatever time. The game tells you this is the time I want to be. You know what I mean? If you as a developer start saying, oh no, I should make it longer because otherwise I will get bad reviews, people will complain, that's where the problem is. You know what I'm trying to say here?
Right.
So for me, all games could be long. Or all games could be short.
Right, however long it takes to convey that idea that you want for the player to feel.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
As much as you don't question a movie when you look at it, you're like, 2.5 hours not worth my time, fuck it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, you don't think about it like that. You just look at the experience. So what do you feel in your heart, So that's, I think, it's important. So the next game will actually be longer than A Way Out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So longer, but we'll have more density to the experience, I guess.
Yeah. We'll have we'll have a lot of more stuff, like more variation and more. Right. Now you're trying again. I see what you're doing. Yeah. He's a very good guy. This guy. He's a good asking.
No, but I think it's interesting to have you say all this and say, hey, my next game's actually going to be longer.
Yes, but that again to prove my point. I'm not saying shorter games.
Right.
It's so easy. Trust me. Like when I talk about this, people get super upset.
And it sounds like you are saying, though, you want to have more than 50% of the people get all the way through the next game.
Yes, I would love that. Of course, you would be happy. Imagine you work your ass off for 3.5 years.
Right.
And then suddenly, you hear that only half the people finish your game, even if they bought it. Only half the people. Then you feel like, okay, something is wrong. Why is that accepted?
So how do you reverse engineer that as a designer? Do you look at it and say, hey, because you get all this data and telemetry, so you're like, oh, here's the point where everyone quit. Like, did you try and figure out why that happened? When did they stop playing the game?
Yeah,
did stop at the same point.
I try to look at it, but that's also, that's what the fun with gaming is, because there's so much. I know, what happened? Why do they stop? What's the point? You have a lot. There are different, thousands of different reasons. There could be that they didn't like the story, or they didn't like the gameplay, or I don't know, a lot of competition and so on and so on. So, but I do take that serious. I take that more seriously than thinking about the replayability and how long the game is.
So where do you find your inspiration now? Is it other games? It's like some of these ideas, where do they come from?
The thing, most of the inspiration is the urge of pushing the medium forward. That's the most. What can we do to push it forward? And I do believe we are living in times where it's easy to push it forward. And I think in 100 years from now, it's going to be way different, because the games will change, obviously, but it's going to be way harder to, how we push the medium forward to tell a story. So we live in a good time now to be perceived as a good game developer.
And I feel like your games, they push the medium forward with how it sort of affects you emotionally. I don't feel your games necessarily have a a message per se to them. It's more about letting the player sort of feel something, right?
Yes,
'Cause some people say your
yeah.
games aren't overly political or overly sort
No,
of
no,
focused.
no,
I mean,
no.
that's not how you want to push the medium forward,
No,
right?
no. I want to push it like what's possible from a creative perspective. Like, what can you do to push things to the next level? How can you tell a story in new ways? How can you create emotions with players in new ways? That's what really and that's what I like about A Way Out. When you see it working with two new players that haven't played before and doesn't know anything, and you see how it works, that's amazing.
Right, and that was a big idea that obviously, on Brothers, a story of Brothers, but it wasn't multiplayer, and it felt like that was a big goal for you, right? Is to add some co-op element to it.
Yes. And also the variation, I think, is important, because I most of the time when I play games, and maybe I'm very sensitive to this, but I feel that they repeat themselves too much.
Yeah.
So I really don't believe in this typical game design, like you have to teach this player something and make him or she feel really good about it and get better. I'm not a fan of that, actually.
But still, with A Way Out, I mean, it was a limited budget, yet you tried to do so much there.
Yeah, you try to do some, and of course there will be some mechanics that doesn't. I mean, if you look at our shooting system, I know some people compared us oh, it doesn't feel like Uncharted. I'm like, yeah, we had one coder working on that. So of course, and we have done only this. But for me, in A Way Out, it was better to have different mechanics that were maybe not everything was super polished, but they still had their purpose for that.
A lot of diversity.
Yeah, a lot of diversity. That was more important to keep the play, because that's something that made me very happy with A Way Out, is that we felt that player really were engaged the whole time. They didn't feel that they were tired, come on, not again, because there was something new presented to them all the time. And I think that's a bit more important when you're doing a story game also, because you need to present something fresh and new all the time,
Sure.
Because repetition is something that I don't enjoy too much.
That's clear.
Yeah, but it's clear, yeah.
All right, let's take some questions from the audience for Josef. Keep chatting, but it sounds like you guys had some hands up in the air. Yeah, we can go back there. All right. Working? Yeah, it's working.
Okay. So you talked about the players not finishing the game, and what I think about that is that the problem is we have the access that we have to games is too easy. I mean, today you can buy a game way too easily. The subscriptions that, for example, Origin does make you have 1,000 games in hours. This makes the player say, okay, I didn't enjoy just these 10 minutes of gameplay, I'm going to switch a game. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, that again, that's understandable. I understand. I can even accept the idea that if you don't want to finish a game, it's fine. What I'm against is that it's part of the judging a game, or the developers making the game and so on, is that they actually try to make replayability value and make them long just for the case. I think that we get less good games, and we lose a lot of interesting game because we have to make them longer just for it. It's fine if you whatever. Look, here's the thing. I just want to make a game without thinking of how long it is. I don't want to have it in my head. I don't want anybody to ask me. I don't want any question from any journalist saying to me, how long is this game? Why is that question relevant? I want to make those questions non-relevant. Maybe I'm not explaining myself. Making those questions non-relevant. Don't ask me replayability. Don't ask me how long it is. Even if I made the game 100 hours or 1 minute, don't ask me those questions. It's okay. So my answer could be who the fuck cares?
I think on the journalist side,
it frustrates me.
I think it's a little bit
you
about...
You understand me? I'm not saying shorter.
I understand what you're saying, but I think it's sort of a...
Maybe my English.
It's a threshold, I think, sometimes, where people want to know, it's hey, if it's 3 hours or 30 hours. People want to know that when they decide if they're going to spend money.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It should be taken away, because it doesn't make sense,
I know what you're saying. Yeah, because if you have an amazing, super impactful 3-hour experience, that could be even more valuable than 30 hours.
Yes, and if you feel that you're a person,
yes.
I don't know if we have someone in here that okay, if I pay $60, I need my 30 hours.
Yeah.
I can count to you 50 games, buy them and be happy. You don't have to have all the games like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you're really 1 hour every time I need to have this, it's come on, man.
Okay.
It's now I swear in Arabic. It's okay. Yeah, I get frustrated of this, but it's fine. I think I answered your question.
Next question.
Hello, hello, yeah.
Oh, all
So,
right.
what do you think about the fact that nowadays there are not many local multiplayer games? Like, we usually have a lot of online games, multiplayer games, but we don't have much local. What do you think?
It's actually a good question because we didn't really know how many would play A Way Out in couch, and we saw that half of the players have actually played the game
Oh, wow.
in couch. Half of the players.
Wow.
It's been sold quite well. So a lot of people are really missing the couch co-op, and I do hope A Way Out inspires other publishers. I think it will because now they're saying that only co-op story will actually, create some revenue. So I think it's gonna happen. But I miss the couch co-op, and I think they should. I hope they do more, and I hope I see more games more similar to A Way Out, because at the end of the day, we want to play together. It's a social thing, and I think we actually enjoy more sitting together physically than online at the end of the day. I think I really hope it becomes better, and that we see more games like that. I love couch co-op. I love sitting. I mean, that's how we remember games when we were young, like playing together, having fun, throwing the console, the controller. The console also sometimes. We throw everything. Have you ever thrown the... Yeah, you have,
Maybe.
Of course,
Back in the day.
I once a Super Nintendo,
Yes.
fuck the...
No, I said that social aspect. I think, but it's great that you had the online and the couch co-op, and the fact that I didn't realize that half the people played in couch co-op.
Yeah, did you play in couch?
I played online.
No, come on, Jeff.
Sorry, I know. You should have flown over.
Yeah, we should play together someday.
We should. All right,
Yeah.
next question. Yeah, back there. You want to back to? Pass it back.
I fully agree with what you were saying about, value more video games about the experience and not the length of it. But I think that the main problem is not that people value more if the game is longer or shorter. It's just that many times, you can't afford the video game because of, for example, in A Way Out, it doesn't matter if it's 8 hours long or so, but it costs, I don't know, it costs me like $20 or $30 would be, but when it's 60, it's harder. But I think that that problem can actually be solved in the future with subscriptions like Game Pass or anything like that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good question. One can argue that games are too expensive, for instance, but you have to have understanding. Yeah, sure, maybe the publishers can take down the price or whatever. That's another discussion. If people feeling that game, but I think games has become cheaper throughout the years, right? Like I remember, at least in Sweden, like they used to cost more when I was young than now. And you have to understand that the development of a game has gone up. It's actually gone the opposite. Right. So normally things go up. Like if you look at the prices going to the theater, they go up. But in games, they kind of go down. That's why you see that they need to, because a game like God of War, or those games, like it's over $100 million. It's insane amount. Then they need to take in the money somehow, So it's crazy. But yes, that's another discussion. If you feel that games are too expensive, then sadly, again, it's about understanding the financial aspect. If you are the person who are in charge of this $100 million, you have to find a way of taking this money back into your company. And that's why we see stuff like microtransaction or whatever, those kind of bad stuff that can affect the gamer in a bad way. But yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know much about the cost and about the concept, but sure, that's
like A Way Out, that was was it $20? I mean, it wasn't 60.
Yeah, and you
so
got like a free if you want to play online, and that for me made sense because if the experience in couch was that price, should be the same online. That was also a thing that there was very skeptical around. They were like, would that work or not? But we found that actually people got very happy for that, and it's like, yeah, it's good.
Right, but yeah, I think you're right. Price does impact. Someone would say like, your vision doesn't matter. Even though it's a smaller indie game, it's like charge $60 because it's such a great feeling when you play the game. That probably wouldn't have worked, right? People are price sensitive to some degree.
I don't know what happened, man. I think if you play a great game like, I don't know, like Last of Us, you pay 60.
Right.
Or Journey.
You pay $500 for.
Yeah. It's like if you see a sunset for 50 minutes that's beautiful, it's way worse than staying in the sun for 8 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's everything how you look at it.
It's about choices,
right? It's how you value your time. I think that's the essence of it. And I don't know, like. Yeah.
No, it's how you value your time, and also how much time or money you have, and
Yeah.
choices you make. And I think people just
Yeah.
don't want to buy a game and be disappointed with what they get.
Yeah, they shouldn't, because there's so many games out there. If you value your time in that
Right.
way, then buy those games where you feel like, okay, I'm getting, like I'm getting worth for my money, or whatever you say.
Yeah, or play Fortnite for free now or something, right?
Yeah,
There's so much-
exactly.
yeah,
There
so-
are many games like that
Yeah.
if you want. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Next question. Yeah, let's go over here.
Over
man.
here, you think?
Right. I had a question, but it was pretty much something similar to what she asked. So
Where are you? Wave
He's
your
up
hand.
there.
Ah, there. All right.
I was just going to mention about the price and everything. And
Yeah.
my question was more about if you think that games are unfairly priced, as in maybe some games are too cheap or some games are too expensive, or what's your opinion on gaming prices at the moment? Well, you kind of answered already, so.
Man, I'm 40 years old. As I told you before, games before cost, like in Sweden at least, $65, $70 for a game that could be 5-6 hours. So for me, I think $49 it's fine. I think what they cost in America. What do they cost? A regular AAA title.
Like $59, $60.
Yeah, 59. I think for what you get, it's fine pricing. Of course, there are some games that are overpriced. Some indie games, I'm like, okay, why does this cost $20 or something like that? But I think actually some of the Switch games are like they're double the price just because they're on a Switch.
But is there a different model where games are subscription based, or they're episodic games, right? So some people said like, hey, a way out, if you only play half of it, you're only going to pay for half of it, something, right? So it's like, are there different models?
Yeah, I don't really have so much opinion about the price itself and how you price things, but I react to it sometimes. But it's nothing that I really, again, I'm repeating myself. Is that we should stop asking these questions from artistic perspective.
Right.
That's what I mean. So we could focus on. The whole essence of it is to creatively focus on the vision and not to fill out the time for other reasons.
Right. Well, no, I think that's a good point. As a creator, you want to create the game that you want to create, no matter how short or long it is, and hopefully the audience will receive it and accept it for what it is.
Yes. And again, it doesn't have to be short. It could be 100 hours.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Something wrong with my English here? Like I say it so many times. Do you understand me here or not?
No, and I think everyone with a good game, I think people, as you said, like with Journey, I don't think anyone complained that it wasn't
it's a great game. What was it, 2 hours or something?
Yeah. And it's like, and that's it. Like if a game has to be that good though.
Yes.
To make it worth that short amount of time, right? So it's like
But
the problem is a lot of people buy and play games that are just kind of mediocre, and then they're short, and people get upset.
But if you have a AAA studios that's making a whatever game like AAA, they will have in mind how long is it, because they will ask this question, because their publisher will ask this question.
Yeah.
So those questions, the replayability and how long it is, will affect the design.
Yes.
That's what I mean. So they are not allowed to affect the design.
And they're artificially, in some ways, inflating the length of the game.
Yes.
Just adding more, levels. And
Yes,
more
just
grinding.
because these two.
We got to get
like
to 20
this,
hours.
but it's almost like this happen automatically. But so, not against you, man.
Exactly.
I love you. I love you. No, but I just want to take them away.
Yes.
So focus on the product. I don't even take away the time totally. You know what I mean? Focus on the creative aspect. Then the games should tell us how long they want to be.
Yes.
Not someone else telling us how long they should be. All right.
Fair enough.
10th time I tried to explain this.
Next question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you for your production and the games you have developed, and also for the conversation. I'm now a developer, but I've come from a psychologist background, and as a clinical psychologist, I've actually used Brothers and Journey to facilitate therapeutical change. I think you have in mind while you develop which emotion or which experience you want, or how you want to change the player while they are playing your game. Have you ever been in a situation in which you think maybe the emotion you are trying to elicitate or the changes you are trying to produce at the emotional level or experiential level was not adequate or was too much maybe for the actual market situation, the players or the target you have?
If I understand it right, you mean that the emotional impact you want to have for the player, if that's been too much?
If there is at some point some design decision or some idea that you have to roll back because
It's too hard.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I think in both Brothers and A Way Out, it's still just scratching the surface. We have way more. Like if I find, I don't know. I mean, you played through Brothers in the end. The good thing about that is it was actually physical button that created the growth of your character. That's what I really liked. I couldn't sleep that night when I came up with that idea. But the thing is, like, if I come up with something super strong or whatever, I won't back down. No, I would do it anyway. Like, look, I'm a guy that don't really care. Again, I respect people. I do. And I feel love. I think love is important.
Yes.
When I say I don't care, it doesn't mean like I say fuck you to everybody.
Right.
Again, that fuck you is another thing. But,
Okay.
but it's like, they have to understand, like, I respect people, but I want to do things that like push the boundaries forward. So if I had something like that, fine, let's do it. If I come up with a game that's 10 minutes, I will do it.
Yeah.
And even a 100-hour game, it doesn't matter. But yes, to answer your question, it's yes.
You should make a game. What about a game for a phone? 10-minute game.
Oh no, man, phone games, no.
No.
Fucking
Why not?
shit. Are
You want to
kidding
bring
me?
more people into gaming?
Phone games, like, come on, it's like you can't play games on your phone. Yeah,
No?
it's also gonna piss people off. It's boring. Man. Like, yeah, no. Phone games, like, come on.
That's how you bring
mobile.
more-
I know
but
mobile
more-
games make a lot of money, blah blah. But no.
No, but if your goal is to get more people to play games, like
Yeah,
you say,
but
then
I
more
don't.
people
I don't
have
want
phones.
more people to play games that don't want to play. Just like to
Right.
get them to play. I want them to play because they are interested in playing, not to
Right.
make something easy for them to work. No. I'm not. I'm really not a fan
So
of.
you'll never
mobile
make a
games.
game for a phone?
No.
No.
I mean, if it's not like something super excites me a lot, no.
Right.
I mean, imagine how passionate gamer I am,
Yeah.
and I never like play on this.
Right.
Even Brothers, that when they release, I'm like sure, but I'm like I don't even play. It's like no.
Right.
It's not made for games. It's a phone, man.
Yeah.
It's like, hello? You talk in it. You don't play on it. Like
Yes.
when you play, you want to sit and,
Right.
enjoy.
Be
it.
immersed. And
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
One more question for Joseph.
Yeah, here. I want to ask a question about A Way Out, which
Uh-huh.
I play all the way through online.
Oh, good. You're one of the...
One of the guys.
I did it online
Nice.
though.
Big applause.
No, really. So you were talking before about how the game had like these little situations, like with little mechanics and so on. And
Yeah.
I wanted to know, while you were designing the game, did you approach these situations from the story point of view or the mechanics? Like, for example, did you thought like, you had like this piece of story, and how could you tell that piece of story through the
Yeah.
mechanics, or did you have like an idea for the mechanics and thought about what story fit in that?
The thing with A Way Out, first of all, like I explained, team-wise, like we weren't that big. But the thing with it, how do we keep the players invested the whole time in, wanting to continue playing the game? And one of the things was that I didn't want us to make a game where it's a shooter, you go around and shoot all the time. You want to invest that you feel that you really like your characters and you feel for them. And some scenes we had to take away and some not. But for instance, I don't know if you remember, there's a scene where they're fishing. I mean, that took us maybe a month and a half just to create that content. But I think it did something for this. So pretty much also the mini games are there for a reason for what happens in the end. Everything is about bonding the players together. That was the whole essence and design of the game. But there were many parts of A Way Out that we had to take out. There were actually parts. I actually made A Way Out shorter because the prison was longer. Made it shorter because it didn't fit the pacing. It felt like it become like so. It was too slow. It was like, no, we have to take away this. So we took away maybe 30 minutes, I think, from the prison, just because to like take it down because the pacing didn't feel good.
Right.
Once we did this, the best thing when you make a game and when you start to do your test on the audience is that you see how they react. But you don't have. It's very important that you don't listen to everything because some of the reactions are like, this is not good. You need to know what to listen to and what to not. But again, to answer your question, it could be either way. Sometimes like the gameplay works here, but again, everything was like how do we bond the players, how to make them feel invested and keep on going. But I do again want to tell a story with more of interactive gameplay and less of a passive gameplay. I really love the interactivity of gaming. And that's what I'm
Less
pushing for.
cutscenes.
So that's the only thing I can say with the next game. It's way more interactivity
Okay.
than A Way Out. Way more.
Right?
Okay,
Yeah.
I have one last question here.
Hi,
Yeah.
so it's related to what you were just saying. People usually talk about your games like story-driven games, and sometimes wonder to which extent that's true, because in both, what I found great about both Brothers and A Way Out, it's how good the story melts with that mechanic surprise you always have.
Yeah.
So, and it's in both, it's related to having to make.
Yeah, man.
Hello? Yeah.
Good stuff.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah, it's
So
fucking shit up. All right.
The question is, for the next game, are we going to have do you have a moment like that it's both related to the story and mechanics?
That's my guy.
They're getting
That's my
inspired by
guy.
you, man.
That's
You're
exactly-
inspiring the people.
That's my boy.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have something like that at the core of the new game?
Yeah. There is a point for the next game, what we're doing. I'm so excited to talk about this. Maybe we should do it at the Game Awards when it's time.
Hey,
Announce
I'm
it
in.
there.
Come on in.
Put
Yeah.
me on stage, coming up with a
Oh,
light, coming up
okay.
like this. Imagine, that would be fun.
I'm
man.
in. I'm
Like
in.
having the light and coming
Well,
up.
we
like,
had the funny thing, if people don't remember, what we announced, A Way Out. It was like the first Game Awards.
Yeah,
we were with you there in
exactly. Let's do it
2014.
again. We do something
Hazelight.
funny with it. We have some
Okay.
lights of me coming up like
Okay.
Josef Fares naked.
No,
Which is
I gotta
so
say,
fun.
it's. I think everyone loves your passion for the medium, and at the end of the day, you're not just talk. You put together some incredible games that both Brothers and A Way Out, I think, have made us think of games in a different way, and we can't wait to see what's next. So, Josef Fares, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joseph.
Great
See
to
you
meet you again.
Good to see you. Time.
Thank you very much, Geoff and Joseph. And I want to invite you, even to those of you trying to leave the room, to stay for next talk.